Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Precious Metal Summit 2018, and we are now here with White Gold Corporation, and Sean Ryan, the Chief Technical Advisor, will give us an insight into their terrific company. Sean, welcome.
Thank you. Yeah.
First of all, White Gold, what is the company about? Where are you working? Maybe you give us a little bit of an overview.
Sure, yeah. The White Gold is really a unique company in that what I've done is I've taken about 20-some projects, about 23 of them, and we put them all into one company. And we kind of formed a super company. The idea was, and not only does it have a bunch of projects, but we actually created a business plan, which was very unique. And the idea is that I created a budget that would evaluate all the projects simultaneously over the 3 years. So the idea is that they're all different stages. And what I was doing is, the analogy is got to be at least one deposit in there, high probability of being 2, and a likelihood of 3. So instead of spreading them out into 10 different companies, I said, let's build a super company, but come out with a business plan that we kind of kiss all the frogs and figure out how many princesses we really have.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of the idea with this. We call it the Agnico budget, and they financed us for $15 million, $5 million a year. So we're at the end of year 2 with that budget, so we have another $5 million out of that budget for next year to follow up on these targets that have been building up for the last basically 10 years or so.
Honestly, that's an outstanding concept. I really like that. And I think Agnico holds 19.9%. And
that's right.
Kinross holds 19%.
Yeah, so what we did, once we got the first Agnico deal, 19.9 out, actually last year at the Zurich show, we decided to approach Kinross, and knowing that they were trying to sell my original White Gold and Saddle deposit. And then we asked them if they would like to come in and be partners in our company also for 19.9 for a basically big share exchange and a little bit of cash. Yeah. And so they agreed to that owning the big picture of owning 20% of the big picture was better than owning 100% of the small picture.
That's right.
So the idea is that we basically brought, now we have Kinross and Agnico. They had to shake hands in a sense because now they're both our partners. And the intent is if we go out, we're the explorers, and as soon as we find something that's of significance, we either spin that out or they actually buy that asset, not the company. That's what we protected, so that White Gold will be there for a long time. And the idea is that they could put it into production. So we could continue exploring with White Gold's projects.
That is fantastic. So that's a several-fold strategy, I would call it. Yeah?
Well,
you're still staying in the game, getting maybe royalty out of that and stuff like that.
That's right. Well, the idea is that I come from the Timmins camp in Northern Ontario, where these camps go on for 100 years. So the White Gold, what it does is it represents some of my best targets over the last 25 years that I found. And I call them haystacks. They're mineralized systems, and we find that through systematic soil sampling. And to give you an idea, it's all about the science, is that in that database of that White Gold district, we actually control over 400,000 soil sample data points that we've collected, run on the same lab, the same technique. So it's a big long-term, basically, vision. And now with this new road system that the government's just basically paying for from the local government up there, they're going to put $120 million into developing the roads through this whole corridor that we're actually
So for you, that's outstanding advantage, right?
Well, right now, see, because what's going to happen is Goldcorp is putting the heap leach plant, like that mine set up. The White Gold deposit, if it eventually gets mined, it's more of a traditional crush and basically plant. So now you have 2 styles of ore. So that means that because of this road system, I used to have to find 2 million ounces to make any money out of the deal.
Of course.
Now if I find 300,000 or 400,000 ounces, it could be trucked to the mill. So that's
big advantage.
So now this is the long term. So now even small deposits become good potential economic
That's an
stuff.
Interesting approach.
Well, and the whole idea is that if you think about it, White Gold, because we set it up that they're not going to get taken out, they're spin outs. So that's how we make money as shareholders also. But the idea is that Kinross and Agnico are both, they own 40% of the company together. That these systems that we own, they're mineralized systems. So some of the stuff that we drilled last year that was 20 meters at 0.6 grams, not economic, we'll drill them deeper in 3 or 4 years. We might drill them in 5 years from now. So the idea is that this company should have a lot of legs for a long-term vision for this White Gold district as a whole.
That's right. So let's dive into the White Gold property itself.
Yeah.
I mean, you are the largest landholder. You are owning 40% of the White Gold district, I would
that's
call
right,
it.
yeah.
And also, you just did a $15 million board deal.
Yeah.
In addition, 16th October,
Yeah.
I think it was. So
Yeah.
you're well cashed up. You have enough money to.
Yeah,
really
we'll have
fulfill our
about
goal.
22 million in
Exactly.
the bank by the end of the season.
Yeah, so you can do all the work programs. You can really go in full throttle.
That's right, yeah.
So what we saw, Golden Saddle, for example, great drill results so far. You had some great grab samples. Maybe you can elaborate a bit on that, what it means for the future.
Yeah.
And you have also a first resource on that, right?
That's right. So last year we put out a resource about, like when we picked it up from Kinross, it was around 1 million ounces. So we bumped that close to 1.3. And so now what we're going to do is we drilled the down dip extension, chased it down a little bit and widened it up a bit. So we should put roughly another 300,000 ounces to that. So that'll be close to 1.6. But Agnico really wants to see 2 million.
Of course.
So now we found 2 new zones, the Golden Saddle West and the Ryan Surprise area. And they're nice high-grade stuff.
Yeah.
And so what that's going to do is, so now Agnico could smell the 2 million ounces. So now they're getting a lot more interested. So that'll give us another year to go in there and continue on our drilling.
Yeah, yeah.
We still have some more holes to come this year. But the idea is we'll start focusing on these new targets and hopefully get this past the 2 million ounces. And then that'll get past the gate that Agnico and Kinross will probably put that into production one day
Okay.
when we get the economics there.
Yeah. Can we maybe do a little bit hypothetical thing?
Yeah.
I know it's forward-looking
Yeah.
statement. Yeah, this is just an estimate.
Yeah, yeah.
It's hypothetically an idea.
I'm good at that.
Yeah, super. Now we have to comply to rules and regulations here. But let's say you have 2.5 million ounces.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody's happy. Everything went very well.
Yeah.
Kinross and Agnico come to you and say, hey, guys, you know what? We bring this into production.
Yeah.
So that would be like a spin-off. You would retain
No,
NSR,
so that's probably
or
what it's...
How would it work?
That one, they'll probably just buy it outright. That's
Okay.
what we think. So that'll project will probably just bought out for a cash deal. That's that's part of the idea. And then he owns paper and white gold. We'll probably get a dividend payout from that kind of deal.
Okay.
So that's how we're, like management is looking at it. We don't sell paper. Management's made a deal altogether saying nobody's selling paper. And that's our exit strategies to make money. So our wives are happy.
So keeping up the Christmas presents, I know.
So that's the idea. So we've got that in vision. And then if we actually have like this new discovery that we got going called the JP Ross, if that one actually has some legs, because we're just making the first discoveries this year, we're probably going to hit it with a bigger budget next year. And if it really does look like this is a true winner, we'll probably spin that out. And then people like Agnico and Kinross could finance that as a separate vehicle. But again, he who owns paper and white gold gets Spinco paper.
Perfect.
So that's kind of the strategy. And that was the original vision that if we're lucky, there's 2 or 3 of these princesses in there.
Yeah.
And then we should have 2 or 3 spin-outs.
Lovely, lovely. So let's make the princesses a real queen.
Well, that's what... well, this was the whole vision because, see, when I made the original white discovery, I had found the coffee at the same time. And when Underworld was drilling off the resource in there, I brought them this data and I said, look, I think I found its big brother on the other side of the hill. And they said, no. The probability you finding one is extremely high, not 2 of them. So they actually backed out of that deal. So this is why this model that I have going here is let's not stop at the first discovery.
Exactly.
Let's look at them
Move it.
all
Yeah.
and then basically make a big decision as we move along.
Yeah, fantastic. So with $22 million in the bank, you can do a lot. What are, let's say, the major milestones you want to achieve in 2019?
2019, we'd like to see this get really, the Golden Saddle get close to 2 million ounces, if not past it. And then the next big one is to drill this JP Ross. Now we have a tiger by the tail. We're just getting it. It's near surface mineralization, high grade. So we should be able to pound that with a bunch of diamond drilling next year. But on this JP Ross, it's a very unique geochemical signature. It's not like the white. It looks like it's higher grade. And so we see this on a fairly significant scale. Like it's an old, they mined that creek for the last 100 years in placer mine. So it's very unique. And now what we see geochemically, because I could take the soils, I could tell you where the same signature is. And I see the same signature across this property in a big way. As we get closer to the Dawson, you don't see that signature. So it's very unique, but we're covering kilometers and kilometers. So, and it hides real good. Sometimes it's only 10 to 15 feet like wide. And you could be walking right next to it and miss it. So now we've actually moved our soils into more 10-meter soil spaces, more detail, and we should pop up a bunch more of these things. And this is the one of the type of deposits that get me really excited because the white was nice, the coffee is good, but with this JP Ross, just to give you an idea, if you find, because we've never figured out what caused the Klondike gold. So I'm not saying this is the cause of it, but it's the style that could have caused it. And what we're seeing is if you took like a 300 meters by 3 meters and went down 100 meters, so a slab that thin, at the grades that we're seeing in here, that's over 300,000 ounces. So now all of a sudden you could see a few of these hiding in this area.
Wow.
And you could almost walk over it. So this is where the detective work, and you kind of get excited because we could be looking at a big system under everybody's nose here.
Absolutely. And is that then gold only, or you see also byproducts?
There's a little bit of lead, lots of silver in it, and stuff like this. So that's why we use this XRF gun, so that we could actually zap the soils and actually, or the rocks, and actually tell if it should have gold or not right away. So we don't even have to wait for assays. So that's why we fast track this discovery based on this XRF, basically.
Yeah, and you can cover, of course, a much larger area.
Well,
you get it in more detail because the spacing is so tight, right?
Well, the point is, because we don't have to wait for assays. We could actually know we're tracking it down. I call it hunting. Like we're literally hunting for this guy. And we could tell when we're moving through the bush, oh, it's here, it's here. Oh, no, it's not here.
Okay.
So we could backtrack and then keep following it. So that's why the discovery rate should start to climb up. Because it's a new type of animal. Like I'm a hunter and trapper, like historically. More a mushroom picker, but now now we're on the hunt. So
super. Yeah, that's perfect. Well, Sean, thank you very much for that. It was a perfect insight, and we really look forward to a lot of news flow here.
Well, there's still more news to come this year.
Yeah.
And then basically the idea is like stay tuned for next year because we're
definitely. And we see us anyway. I think January in Vancouver we are at PDAC. And then we can do updates.
And you can give
more
our
data,
viewers
more detailed data. And we move it from there.
Because there's more drill holes to come.
Exactly. So. Perfect. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was Sean Ryan, the Chief Technical Advisor of White Gold Corp. And you heard it. A lot of good news are coming up here. I think how Sean described it, this is a very unique approach to really consolidate a super large land area here in the Yukon. The company owns over 40% of the white gold area, and already they're at 1.2, 1.3 million ounces. This will go up to 1.6 quite soon. And as he said, he needs approximately over 2 million ounces, and then Agnico gets a bit, and Kinross get more excited. So this could be then a production scenario with a possible buyout, of course, also. And what is even more important, Kinross and Agnico hold approximately 40% of the company. They just did a board deal with $15 million. Company has $22 million in the treasury. Stock price appreciated really nicely, but this is just the beginning. So check out the company. Thanks for watching us. Bye-bye from Zurich.